Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin.
Services disrupted at Administrator General's department after workers took protest. Somber mood at candlelight vigil for 14-year-old's gruesome death in St. Thomas. And later in sports, West Indies fine-tune preparations on the lights at Savannah Park for third and final test against Australia starting on Saturday.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Kerry Simpson. Here are the details. Services have been disrupted at the Administrator General's department after workers took protest action this morning. In an interview with TVJ News, President of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, Tisha Clark-Griffiths, said the issue surrounds a mold problem in the building.
Car dealerships, and Mayor Andrew Swaby is not pleased. The mayor sounded the alarm during Tuesday's KCMC's council meeting, pointing to a number of dealerships that continue to ignore their financial obligations for outdoor signage and billboards.
Letters were prepared and sent to car dealerships across the municipality. In total, 188 letters were printed for dispatched, with billing applied retroactively for 7 years. This is in line.
And we do apologize for the incorrect insert. We'll come back to that story. It was a somber mood at the candlelight vigil held Thursday night for 14-year-old Tian Sutherland, who was sexually assaulted and chopped to death in Prospect St. Thomas last week. Scores of residents gathered in the nearby community of Stokes Hall in the parish to remember her. Omar Sutherland, the father of 14-year-old Tian Sutherland, was too numb to talk and requested not to be on camera. The presence of his colleagues, however, provided some comfort. Scores of residents and well-wishers gathered in Stokes Hill St. Thomas for the candle vigil Thursday night. One of her longest childhood friends described her as a great friend.
I have been friends since grade 3 and
And again, we do apologize for the technical difficulty. Back to our earlier story, services have been disrupted at the Administrator General's department after workers took protest action this morning. In an interview with TVJ News, President of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, Tisha Clark-Griffiths, said the issue surrounds a mold problem in the building.
Been informed by our members that they are having severe illnesses as a result of the building that they are currently occupying, specifically on the 3rd and the 5th floor. We have seen our members get ill and have been hospitalized. We have seen where their health has been impacted significantly.
Our news center spoke with Administrator General for Jamaica and Chief Executive at the Administrator General's Department, Mrs. Stacey Carty.
Meetings with our team members, staff meetings. Up to this week, we would have had meetings with our managers and executives. And so the reports over the years have been shared with the team members so everyone knows what is happening. As I said, the treatment requires us to shut down the building with the floors that we occupy, that is. And so persons would have been home for a week whilst we were doing the internal treatment. So persons know the progress that is being made, but at the same time, everyone has their choice and their right. So everyone has within their permit to do what they feel is best in their interest.
And we'll have more on this developing story in Primetime News at 7. The Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation is set to crack down on car dealerships with outstanding billboard and signage fees. Mayor Andrew Swaby warned that enforcement action is imminent for businesses that fail to comply. Shamila Pullen reports.
It's been an uphill battle for the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KCMC, trying to collect overdue advertising fees from local car dealerships, and Mayor Andrew Swaby is not pleased. The mayor sounded the alarm during Tuesday's KSAMC's council meeting, pointing to a number of dealerships that continue to ignore their financial obligations for outdoor signage and billboards.
Letters were prepared and sent to car dealerships across the municipality. In total, 188 letters were printed for dispatched, with billing applied retroactively for 7 years. This is in line with the legal framework for collection. So far, we have able to deliver 89 of those letters, accounting for approximately $5.7 million in revenue billed.
Mayor Swaby noted that while most businesses are cooperating, a few continue to violate municipal rules and will now face the consequences.
Invoices have already been issued to these dealerships, and our team is actively following up to encourage payment. As of July 4th, 2025, 15 businesses, roughly 11.4%, have made payment amounting to close to $800,000. We are also making efforts to track down businesses that have relocated.
This renewed push is part of a broader campaign to improve urban order and revenue collection across Kingston and St. Andrew.
I want the public to know that this exercise is not just about collecting money. It's about collecting well-needed resources which are required to fund operations to ensure the municipality is managed in the way that it should. Part of the outstanding funds will be used to replace missing and damaged street signs across Kingston and St. Andrew. These signs are critical. They help people to find their way, guide emergency services, and keep our roads organized and safe.
Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
There is a dispute raging in St. Anne about the imposition of a curfew in Parry Town. At least one local political representative believes it's unnecessary.
It hasn't been business as usual in Parry Town, Ocherea, St. Anne the last few days. The streets have been empty, not by choice, but because of a curfew. The security measure took effect at 6 p.m. on Sunday and ended at 6 p.m. Tuesday evening. But the police are considering an extension to Thursday, a move that some stakeholders welcome in light of a double murder in the area on Saturday night.
Fighting crime, it has to be a community activity. It takes a village in order to curb some of the challenges that we are having. Of course, the police force, they have in place the necessary lines that citizens can make contact to confidentially in order to share information. We can understand that there will be general fear.
But where calm should reside, tension has taken root. Councillor for the Beachertown Division, Ian Bell, is strongly against a curfew extension.
The persons in the community are adamant at this time that the curfew is not necessary because you would not have been seeing the police except then come to lock down a dance. And if they come to lock down a dance and certain things happen, the dance not bother lock down. And I have no problem at this time supporting the curfew as a short-term measure.
Now, before Saturday night, Parry Town reportedly hadn't recorded a murder in close to 3 years. Mr. Bell is therefore questioning the police's decision to introduce a curfew in the community as opposed to other areas he described as troubled.
So we have a murder Friday night, yes, in Ocherea Town. And since the start of this year, Ocherea Township has had many murders. And we have not had one curfew in Ochi, nor one locking down. If you look around Parry Town now, every shop is locked now. Because what? They always tell me that cow look weak fence to jump. So because the people them up here are weak fence, and them then can't lock down, but then don't lock down Ochi.
Commanding Officer for St. Anne, Deputy Superintendent of Police Rohan Elliott responded.
Parry Town is one of our hotspots, and it may have been as a result of the kind of presence that we would have had inside here over time, why we did not have such an incident in over 2 years. So I understand the concerns of the residents because I know it will affect their economic viability, etc. But we have to take these kinds of steps.
Amoy Harriet, TVJ News.
The tourism ministry says it's anticipating increased visitor arrivals ahead of the winter tourist season later this year. The assertion was made by State Minister Delana Seavright at the launch of Pirates Week scheduled to be held later this year. Details in this report.
The high seas is set to roar again with the launch of Kingston's Pirates Week.
On your marks, get set, let's go.
The event, which was launched this week, is scheduled to be held October 2025, is packed with a range of activities, which is expected to attract both local and international tourists.
This event will benefit many small and micro players in the sector, including ground transportation operators, vendors, and so on.
Stakeholders says Pirates Week is a celebration of Jamaica's rich culture and a unique maritime past. Professor Gordon Shirley is the CEO of the Port Authority of Jamaica.
There can be no doubt that there is no more authentic location to have a Pirates Festival than in Kingston and in Port Royal. There'll be a lot of celebration from all of those pirates who have been waiting a long time. The natural place for this to happen was at Port Royal. And we have developed that port. We have assumed the responsibility for Fort Charles. We have built a museum. We now have a full-blown restaurant. And we're dealing with some of the infrastructural issues to make Port Royal come alive.
Meanwhile, the tourism ministry says the event is a part of a broader strategy to position Jamaica as a hub, not just for music and art, but also culture. Anthony Atkinson, TVJ News.
Now, amid stinging criticism about the impact of the Jamaica Tourist Board bill on Airbnbs and other tourism interests, the government says it will continue consultations with stakeholders. Speaking at the launch of the Kingston Pirates Week, State Minister and the Minister Delana Seavright said the administration has taken note of the concerns raised.
We have listened to stakeholders. We will continue the consultation process. We remain fully committed to continue the engagement with all stakeholders to ensure that the final framework expected to be tabled in the next parliamentary cycle, that it's practical, that it's balanced, and that it's aligned with the shared goal of sustainable growth across the sector.
Minister Seavright again responded to claims that the government intends to tax Airbnbs.
It's important to note to my rich Airbnb friends, to my struggling Airbnb friends, to my young professional Airbnb friends, the JTB Act does not in any way legislate taxation on accommodation or any other enterprise. It's guided by a destination assurance framework. The bill aims to establish a fair, transparent system that safeguards quality, safety, security, consistency.
And it's time for a break. Stay with us, more stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Amid growing concerns about inadequate garbage collection, a councillor for the Treadways Division in St. Catharines, Sidney Rose, says he is pleased that cleanup efforts are now underway in several areas across the parish. Speaking on the importance of sanitation and public health, Councillor Rose urged residents to take personal responsibility for maintaining cleanliness.
I would have seen, especially this week, where the National Solid Waste Management Authority did some serious work within this space. I can speak specifically to the Linstead bypass. Several truckloads of garbage was taken from the space. Several. I had that observation. And Mr. Chairman, this morning when I went there, it was a disgrace. Some of us are too nasty, and we need to understand that we need to put the garbage in a place where it ought to be. Mr. Chairman, I would have seen the truck going through Linstead, Mr. Councillor Garrix. I would have seen it. And I can call out the supermarket's name. I can call them out here now.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
The Bank of Jamaica BOJ says the credit union sector had a total loan portfolio of 136.8 billion as at the end of November last year. This includes 115.4 billion in consumer loans, 21.4 billion in mortgage lending, and 45.7 billion in other types of loans. The central bank is currently working to bring the country's credit union under its regulatory oversight. There are now 23 credit unions operating in 100 locations island-wide, down from 40 credit unions a decade ago as the sector continues to consolidate. Further afield, US President Donald Trump has said he will impose a 35% tariff on Canadian goods starting on August 1, even as the two countries were days away from self-imposed deadline to reach a new trade deal. The announcement came in the form of a letter published on Trump's social media platform Truth Social, along with additional threats of blanket tariffs of 15 or 20% on most trade partners. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said his government would continue to protect his country's workers and businesses as they head towards the new deadline. Trump has sent more than 20 such letters to other US partners this week. He also says he will soon announce new tariffs on European Union. And that's it for the Business Minute. I am Kirk Wright.
Thank you, Kirk. Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, CARICOM countries are to receive more support from Interpol, the world's largest police organization, as they intensify efforts against crime and violence. The CARICOM heads of government affirmed that a secure region is a viable region as they adopted the Montego Bay Declaration on transnational organized crime and gangs, underscoring a united stance against criminal networks. On the international scene, the Donald Trump administration will restrict illegal immigrants from enrolling in Head Start, a federally funded preschool program. The announcement was made yesterday by the Department of Health and Human Services. The move is a part of a broad effort to limit access to federal benefits for immigrants who lack legal status. People in the country illegally are largely ineligible for federal public benefits such as food stamps, student loans, and financial aid for higher education. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said the changes were part of a larger effort to protect American citizens' interests. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Nakinsky Robinson.
We now head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report. And we do apologize for the absence of our sports package. And that's the midday news. I'm Carrie Simpson. Join us at 7 for primetime news. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.